Hello and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to make this video to address a common fallacy that I've seen often in religious people. Anybody can be guilty of this, don't get me wrong. This is just a fallacy for anybody in general that's engaging in it. But I'm not going to lie to you, from a lot of the people that I've spoken to, especially a lot of people that are trying to, make claims about the world and whatnot. So for example, in this specific, category, there's quite a lot of people that, believe in God, because a lot of people believe that, religion or a connection to some sort of like higher power is what you need in order to, get through in this life to like, be happy or whatever. You've heard a lot of them say that to you, I'm sure. But right here, right now, I'm here to say, okay, so what? Why do you need to be happy in order to understand that there's a God? It's just an appeal to emotion fallacy, basically. Like when they paint this image of like an angry, bitter atheist or whatever. I mean, I am angry and bitter. I'm not even going to lie about that. But like, how does that even prove that, like, I'm wrong? So this is essentially an appeal to emotion fallacy, which is basically trying to provoke, like reactions in order to get like, the upper hand, trying to, provoke like an emotional reaction so they can have it easier on you to like weigh in whatever it is that they want you to believe. In this case, it would be God. I already made a video a long time ago addressing this whole thing where a lot of people will say that it's often, non-religious, secular, atheist people that kill themselves the most. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. This video might more or less just sound exactly the same as that video, but I wanted to like, paint the bigger picture in terms of how I would say that religious people, theists in general, go about using an appeal to emotion fallacy in general, even if they don't have to like outright, mention suicide. Why are their appeals often, oh, come to Jesus, you'll be so much happier? Or have you noticed that whenever you look at like, like testimonies that people want to say, like when you see those like videos or whatever of like people talking about like how they came to, Christ or whatever, they often have this thing where it's like, oh, I was in such a, hard, like hard time. I was at, like such a struggle in my life until Jesus, revealed himself to me, and then suddenly everything made sense. I'm just like, okay, you had a positive experience, but that's all that says, that you had a positive experience. Where are the facts and the logic to, actually prove that God is, legitimate? Because let's not forget, ignorance is bliss. It's easier to think that you're happy about anything if you don't actually have to like, logically justify and, explain it. Which is why I'm not gonna lie, this appears to be the case with religion in particular, because if you don't have to explain anything, then, it's easy to live in that fairy tale. I mean, life is a fairy tale in general. We're all just like, coping or whatever. So I'm here to just, address this whole thing in general because, oh yeah, I think what, also kind of inspired this video as well was I was on, you know, Discord at one point and I spoke to this person. They were, I don't know, if I'm being honest, perhaps a troll. I'll admit that. But I know there are people that will, be sincere about it. Whereas they said, oh, I believe in God. I have God. That's why I'm like way happier than you. I'm just like, okay, even if you're happier, how are you justifying God? You're not proving God. I mean, anybody can be happy about anything. It says nothing about like, the logical coherence of whatever it is that, you're trying to say. So it's funny because a lot of religious people are conservative. Like a lot of religious people are a whole bunch of like Ben Shapiro motherfuckers, and facts don't care about your feelings, right? So why do I have to believe in God in order to be happy? Shouldn't I believe in God because there's factual evidence that actually proves that he does exist? Now I know a lot of you might be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we do, and we're not just gonna like appeal to emotion." But like, okay, if that's the case, then how come a lot of you still do it? Because it's happened so many times to me. Or you have to paint this image of like, an atheist that can never be satisfied in life. Like, okay, if I'm never satisfied in life, it says nothing about whether or not God actually does or does not exist. So like this is so like irrelevant. Like for something to exist, our emotions are, literally irrelevant in this case. So, I'm making this video, if that's you in particular, that has to appeal to emotion in order to make, the belief in a God sound so much more cozy, so much more comforting. Like it shouldn't work. It doesn't work. If you have a, rational mind that actually cares to try and justify whatever it is that you're gonna believe in, then, you know, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. This is dumb. This is stupid. This is pointless. I don't care how happy you are. I care about where it is that you're explaining. Oh, God is actually real because blah blah blah. I don't care about your feelings, bro. I legitimately do not. And I do not care about the supposed happy feelings that I have that are like not gonna mean jack shit. There are ignorant people all over that are super happy. They believe all sorts of things, and yet you wouldn't accept that. So why is it in particular? It has to be, for example, your Christian God. Like explain that to me. Explain that to me. So yeah, I've said what I've needed to say more or less.